Have you ever had an itch that just wouldn't go away? That tiny sensation on your arm, your leg, or your back that keeps getting stronger until you finally give in and scratch. The moment your nails touch the skin, relief spreads through your body. It feels almost magical. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why does scratching feel so good? And why does it sometimes make things worse? To understand that, we first need to look at what an itch really is. An itch is not just a feeling on your skin. It is a message sent from your body to your brain. When something irritates your skin, like a mosquito bite, dust, or dryness, tiny nerve endings beneath the surface send electrical signals through your spinal cord up to your brain. Your brain receives those signals and translates them into a single command: scratch. Itching is one of your body's protective systems. It evolved to help remove irritants or insects from your skin. In ancient times, when humans lived outdoors and were constantly exposed to insects and plants, this reflex was essential for survival. Scratching helped prevent bites, infections, and parasites. In other words, itching began as a defense mechanism. But our world has changed, while our bodies have not. Today, that same reflex activates for harmless things like dry skin, allergies, or even emotional stress. And here's where things get interesting, because scratching feels good, but not for the reasons you might think. When you scratch, you're actually creating a small amount of pain. That pain travels along different nerves, called A delta fibers, which temporarily override the itch signals carried by C fibers. Your brain pays more attention to the pain and forgets about the itch for a moment. This is why scratching gives that instant sense of relief. But there's more happening inside your head. Scratching activates the brain's reward system. It triggers the release of serotonin, a chemical that makes you feel calm and satisfied. The more serotonin released, the better it feels. That's why scratching can be so addictive. It literally gives your brain a tiny hit of happiness. Unfortunately, this pleasure comes with a price. When you scratch too much, you damage the outer layers of your skin. This causes inflammation and releases histamines, the same chemicals that started the itch in the first place. The result? The itch comes back, stronger than before. This is known as the itch-scratch cycle. The more you scratch, the more you itch. And the more you itch, the more you scratch. Dermatologists see this all the time. People with chronic conditions like eczema or psoriasis often find themselves trapped in this endless loop. Their skin becomes thicker and more sensitive over time, and the nerves that send itch signals become hyperactive. Scratching, which was meant to bring relief, turns into a source of pain and damage. But here's where things get even more fascinating. Itching isn't just a physical reaction. It's also deeply connected to your brain and emotions. Have you ever noticed that you start itching more when you're stressed, anxious, or embarrassed? That's not your imagination. Stress triggers the release of certain hormones, like cortisol, which can dry out the skin, weaken its barrier, and make it more reactive. Emotional tension literally makes your nerves more sensitive. There's also something called psychogenic itch. This is when you feel itchy even though there's nothing physically wrong with your skin. It happens because your brain sends false signals to your body. Sometimes it's caused by anxiety or trauma. The brain's way of dealing with mental discomfort is to express it through the body, and itching is one of those expressions. And it doesn't stop there. Itching can actually be contagious. Scientists discovered that when we see someone else scratching, our own brain activates the same areas responsible for the sensation of itch. It's called contagious itch, and it's related to empathy. Our brain mirrors what it sees, just like when you see someone yawn and suddenly you have to yawn too. Watching another person scratch can literally make you feel itchy. So the next time you see a friend scratching their arm and you suddenly feel the urge to scratch too, it's not your imagination. It's your brain copying them. In recent years, scientists have used MRI scans to study what happens in the brain during itching and scratching. They found that scratching doesn't just activate the sensory parts of the brain, it also lights up the regions linked to pleasure and emotion. The same areas that respond to eating chocolate, listening to your favorite song, or feeling loved. This is why scratching can feel not only relieving, but emotionally satisfying. For a few seconds, your brain rewards you. But that reward is temporary. Soon after, the serotonin fades, and the itching often returns stronger than before. This is the paradox of scratching. It feels like a solution, but it's actually part of the problem. Now, let's look at what happens to your skin when this cycle continues. The outer layer, called the epidermis, is made of tightly packed cells that form a natural barrier. When you scratch too hard or too often, you break that barrier. Bacteria can enter, inflammation increases, and your immune system reacts. This leads to redness, swelling, and even infection. Over time, constant scratching can leave scars or areas of thickened, darkened skin. What began as a small itch can turn into a serious skin condition. But before you panic, there are ways to stop the itch-scratch cycle without giving in to the urge. The first trick is simple: cool it down. Applying a cold compress or ice pack can numb the nerves and reduce the sensation. Second, keep your skin moisturized. Dryness is one of the biggest causes of itching, especially in cold or dry weather. Use lotions with ingredients like aloe vera, glycerin, or ceramides to keep your skin hydrated. Another trick is to press or tap the itchy area instead of scratching it. Pressure stimulates the same nerves but without breaking the skin. And if your itching is caused by allergies or irritation, antihistamine creams or lotions with menthol can help soothe it. But sometimes the key isn't on your skin, it's in your mind. Chronic itching often has a psychological component. Learning relaxation techniques, practicing mindfulness, or even simple breathing exercises can reduce the urge to scratch. When you calm your mind, you calm your nerves too. Scientists believe that learning to resist scratching can actually rewire your brain. Every time you choose not to scratch, your brain strengthens the circuits that control impulse and reward. Over time, this can make itching less intense and easier to ignore. Think about it this way. Scratching is a perfect example of how the human brain chases short-term pleasure, even when it causes long-term harm. It's similar to habits like overeating, smoking, or endless scrolling on social media. Each one gives us a momentary sense of satisfaction, but the long-term effects can be damaging. Scratching, in its own small way, teaches us about the nature of self-control, addiction, and the powerful chemistry of our own minds. The itch is your body's way of signaling that something is off. But scratching isn't the real solution. It's a temporary trick. The true solution is understanding what your body is trying to tell you and responding gently instead of aggressively. Your skin and your brain are constantly talking to each other, and every scratch is part of that conversation. It's also important to remember that not all itching is harmless. Persistent or severe itching can sometimes be a symptom of an underlying condition. Liver problems, thyroid disorders, allergies, or even nerve damage. If you find yourself scratching constantly or waking up at night because of it, it might be time to see a doctor. Your body could be sending a message that deserves attention. So why does scratching feel so good? Because your brain is wired to reward you for it. But why should you be careful? Because your brain also tricks you into thinking it's helping when it's actually keeping the itch alive. Every time you feel that irresistible urge to scratch, remember what's really happening. Millions of tiny nerve signals racing from your skin to your brain, a brief chemical rush of serotonin, and a cycle that begins again. For a moment, you feel relief, but that moment comes at a cost. The next time you feel itchy, pause, breathe. Try cooling the area, moisturizing it, or simply resisting the urge. Because the secret to stopping an itch isn't in scratching, it's in understanding. Your body is full of mysteries like this. Simple sensations that reveal complex science. And the more you learn about them, the more you realize how fascinating and delicate the connection between your mind and body really is. Scratching feels good because it's a trick your brain plays on you. But knowledge, understanding why it happens, is the real relief that lasts.